Hey sports fans, Janine here for Tiger Talk Thursday, and I have basketball star Stephane Okenge with me today. This is episode 12 of Transitioning to Life After Sports. So before we get going, I'll give you a little background story on Stephane. He was an NAIA Division I York University freshman recruit in Nebraska, USA, when his professional athletic career ambitions and his active lifestyle were immediately crushed. Although he was previously recruited by Division I and Division II NCAA universities, Steph suffered a shoulder injury in the summer before his senior year that prompted him to accept an offer at York. Only in his second month of university and recovering from a shoulder surgery, Stephane was the passenger in a terrible car crash where he suffered serious neck fractures that resulted in complete spinal cord severance leading to quadriplegia, which is total paralysis from the shoulders down. This Ottawa native had moved to Rwanda at the age of 9, but was in Uganda where he moved at 11 years old that his basketball skills really flourished. He found himself playing U20 basketball at the age of 13 and 14 and was part of the junior NBA program, which recruited top national talent. At 14, he left home to join Canada Topflight Academy in Ottawa for 2 years, where he was part of the national championship team before moving to Oklahoma, where he trained privately and played for Casady school for 3 years before being the only freshman recruited to York University varsity team. Despite the catastrophic injury and after spending 7 months in the hospital, Stephane is now back home and maintains a positive outlook on what his future will hold. Yeah. So welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we're so excited to have you here. Actually, when I posted yesterday that you were going to be on, there were some people that were commenting how much they loved you. So let's go back to your life before the accident.
Yeah.
Talk to me about your headspace. I mean, being a 13 or 14-year-old athlete, playing with U20 players, what was that experience like for you?
I mean, it was really cool. I mean, I always grew up playing with older people. I have an older brother. He's 4 years older than me, so I've always been competing with him and stuff like that. So I was kind of used to like playing up a little bit, and then I mean, I was always just kind of like locked in, you know. Like I loved playing with grown like those guys were like grown men at the time to me. Like so it was just always fun.
You must have had quite the work ethic to be asked to play with such a high-level athletes. What was your day-to-day routine like? Like, were you one of those kids that, like, the lights would go down and your mom would be like, come in for dinner?
Pretty much. I mean, I know throughout high school I was in the gym every morning. Before school I was in the gym. After practice, It was just constant work, but I loved it. I mean, it didn't feel like work at all.
Did you sleep with your basketball at night too?
I actually did.
Did you?
Yeah.
I love it. Those committed athletes usually do. Okay, so obviously you're headed off to university. You're starting a whole new chapter of your life. Yeah. Can you talk to us a little about your experience around the accident and where we're at today?
I mean, going into university, I was super pumped. It was super fun just being around people like that wanted to be pros one day, stuff like that. Because in high school, you're not always around people that even want to play college basketball and stuff like that. So it was good being around people like that had the same ambition as me.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, then the accident happened, and I mean, yeah, it was pretty tragic. It was pretty hard, but at the same time, it just felt like another challenge to kind of get over.
So the morning of the accident when you're driving in, like, were you singing in the car or hanging out, or just like literally, I imagine it happens and then you wake up in a hospital, or what was that experience like?
So to be honest, most of it I don't even really remember.
Okay.
Yeah, most of it I don't remember. I don't remember much up until like the day before.
Okay.
So
even today, your memory's just dark on what happened.
Yeah, that whole morning it's kind of dark. I kind of like talking with different people and stuff like that. Kind of have like bits and pieces of it, but other than that, I really don't know too much about it.
Okay, so the morning that you wake up and obviously discover your whole life has changed. What was that like?
It was pretty crazy. Like the first like feeling was just confusion because, I mean, I lived away from home for the past 6 years, and then I look over and I see my entire family's there.
Oh no.
And I mean, I haven't seen all of us, like, we all haven't been together like that since like Christmas.
Okay.
So I was like, ooh, something has to be wrong.
Oh, okay.
So at first it was just, I was so confused, but then my older brother that I mentioned before, Ben, he was the one that kind of had to break the news to me that I was paralyzed and all that. And then it kind of hit, and it was pretty hard, but I mean, at least I had my family around, and it made it a lot easier.
Yeah, I mean, you're so positive and you're so inspiring. I mean, I know Stephane and I met, we were doing a photo shoot for Ivor Fashion, so yeah. Travis Iverson and his clothing line. So that's when we first got to meet, and you were always so positive. So I couldn't even imagine what that feeling would be like, or what that, even your parents, we have your lovely mom sitting behind us here, but what that would have been like for your family. As someone so when we talk a lot about transitioning to life after sports, the conversation that we've been having with athletes is, sometimes it happens by choice, sometimes it happens by injury or unforeseen circumstances, and obviously in your situation, it's unforeseen circumstances and obviously injury. Yeah. So what happens when we stop sport? The endorphins, all those feel-good hormones, serotonin, oxytocin, because you're playing with the team, those are immediately eliminated. So did you have any feelings of depression? Like, what was your emotional state in the beginning?
I mean, at first it was definitely like, honestly, like, being in the ICU and all that, like, for the first 5 weeks in Nebraska, I mean, I was in such bad condition that, like, I was under a lot of medication and stuff like that. So I didn't really fully grasp it up until I got back home to Ottawa. But then, yeah, definitely those feelings of sadness and depression that kind of kicked in. But I had people around my corner that, didn't let that just, like, settle. I had people around me that, were constantly bringing up my mood, trying different things to, just improve day-to-day life. So I mean, there was definitely a time of depression and stuff like that. And I mean, there's always even off days here and there. You know, I expect in the next 10 years I'm still gonna have days where it's gonna be hard. But the way I think about it is like, I mean, I had a conversation with my mom about it a couple times, and it's like, even if I wasn't in this circumstance, people have bad days. Yeah. So I'm not gonna really dwell on like that feeling of being depressed or anything like that.
Yeah, like this new reality is not gonna define you.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, at the same time, it's like I'm blessed to be alive today. So it's like I could be sad about all this, but I have to. I could also see the good in it.
What about, when you see able-bodied, your friends or family or kids running up and down the street, just brutal honesty from human to human, how is that for you? Like, clearly, obviously, there would be, let me rephrase this. So what I'm trying to get at, when I think about when some of us have bad days, when you said, sure, let me come interview you, I was so inspired by your courage, and I walk in, you have a smile on your face, you're not dwelling on it. But it must be really frustrating when you have someone who's able-bodied or has all these other things, and they're complaining about the stuff that really doesn't matter in life, right? Yeah. I mean, I'm sure would irk me as well. But what do you think is kind of like, if you had to tell viewers, like, their bad day, sometimes, everyone's got a worse bad day, what would that advice be when you see people complaining about stuff that really, in the grand scheme of things, isn't that big of a deal?
I mean, I would just say, like, there's always someone in, that's having a harder time. Yeah. There's always someone that's, like, even in my situation, like, my mom will remind me, like, hey, it could have been worse, There's someone that's, more down bad than you right now. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, that's the way I think about it. It's like it could always have been worse, something like that, Yeah.
One thing that I really like to always talk about is mindset. And I would assume, and tell me if I'm right or wrong, that because of that tenacity you had as an athlete, it's really been your saving grace going through this, because you probably had to do what you did as an athlete before. And I saw some of your pictures, a phenomenal athlete. Once an athlete, always an athlete.
Yeah, always.
But do you believe that headspace carried you through this?
Oh, for sure. I mean, with this type of injury, I believe, like, I'm a strong believer that, like, it's all mental. Mm-hmm. And if I wasn't a hard worker, in my craft before, I truly believe that this injury would have been a lot harder.
Yeah.
And there would have been milestones that I wouldn't have reached if I didn't just keep that athlete mentality.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
You could tell you were super strong in that department. Now, on my way, well, not on my way over, when I was parked, nobody comment about driving and do this, but on my way over when I was parked, I was looking at what athletes can do. Is there any aspiration for you? Like, what are some goals? I know this is brand new. Stephane just came home from the hospital, so even just that must have been emotional, right? There's one thing, you learn your way around the hospital, and then it's like, oh, I got to start all over and learn my way around navigating at home. Yeah. So you might not know what's next for you, but is there something that you kind of have your eye set on for yourself as a goal for you now, or?
Well, like right now, like I'm just trying to get in, like back into like society type deal. Like I'm trying to get back to feeling like a normal, person and all that, instead of like a patient.
Yeah.
And all that. But I mean, in the future, I definitely want to get into. I definitely want to get back into sports somehow. Whether that be
coaching or something.
Yeah, whether that be coaching, even just speaking to athletes. I'm really into like sports psychology recently, and then even like other sports. I just learned that there's wheelchair rugby that I could possibly do, and I just came back from an orientation to learn how to scuba dive. So
no way.
Yeah.
So how does that work?
It's complicated, but I mean, basically, like you go with a few scuba instructors, and they like literally just let you go in the ocean, and with your breath and stuff, you're able to control like how high and low you want to be in the water, stuff like that. But I mean, there's always people around you to make sure you're good.
But sure.
Yeah, but it's pretty interesting.
Well, that's amazing. What I love about it is too, you're obviously you got to get comfortable with your new surroundings, but you're still thinking about what else is possible for you. And I love that you said coaching and speaking, because there is such what you've gone through is so inspiring. I know it may not feel like that, but it's very inspiring, and I'm grateful that you said yes to even allowing me to sit down and have you part of this amazing series. We've had so many phenomenal athletes, you included. And is there any last words when you think about athletes transitioning so your experience, has been an abrupt stop? Any advice that you give some other athletes that have gone through injury and they can't play their sport anymore?
I would just say there's always tomorrow. You keep working. Every day is gonna be a grind. I mean, there's gonna be up and down days. But I mean, if you're talking about like an injury, there's always an opportunity to get better. Even in my circumstance, the doctors are saying like, yeah, like you're not gonna move ever again and stuff like that. But in my head, I'm still working towards being the best athlete I could be. And I feel like that'd be the same for any type of injury. You hurt your knee or something, and it feels like it's over, but I truly believe it's really never over unless you say it is. But
I love that. Totally. That's what a great last something to end on. It's only over when you say it's over. I believe in that wholeheartedly, and I'm so grateful that you guys allowed me to come into your home. So thank you for being a part of this series. It's not the last that we'll see of Stephane, and I appreciate what you contributed to this topic.
Yeah,
I'm sure you're going to help some athletes out there big time. So thank you very much. Next week, I'm not going to spoil it for you, but we've got some other amazing athletes coming on. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day, a great weekend. And Stephane Okenge. Did I say it right?
Oh, yeah.
Okenge. Bye, guys.